Through the darkness of future past, a magician longs to see one chance out between two worlds.
Fire walk with me?
And she got it! Tell her what she's won, Johnny. Hi.
Some gum, according to Cal.
Yes. Hello, Cal. Welcome to Twin Peeps, the Odd Shaped Channel's Twin Peaks recap show. Obviously, the show has not come back yet, so we thought this would be a great time to catch you up on what had happened 27 years ago. There's a bit of a gap, so we're going to go through mostly the main plot.
Yeah.
We might pick up on some of the side plots along the way. But we're here for some gaffes, some laughs.
And stay tuned. Surprises throughout. Legit.
And that's just one of the many Ethan and Gila references we'll be making tonight. Of course, Mavis chooses this time, right now, to start playing, which is fine. At least she's
having fun. It's all right.
Yeah. So how do you want to start this? Do you just want to talk about Twin Peaks?
Sure. So Twin Peaks was obviously a show from, I believe, 1990. It came out.
April 8th.
April 8th, 1990. It aired, and it was a huge phenomenon. It was like one of the shows that everybody tuned into every week, because obviously this was before people could just TiVo it and find it easily afterwards. And it was a huge event. Even Queen Elizabeth loves Twin Peaks. I was reading this article that Paul McCartney said that she missed a party.
He says you can barely hear us. 1 second, we're having a little technical difficulties. Let's just move the mic. How's that, Cal? Is that better? Sorry, guys. We always have at least one technical difficulty when we start the show. Luckily, Cal is here. I'm just going to turn him into the producer of Twin Peeps. Congratulations, Cal. You were the first one here, so you get to be a producer.
We're just waiting for confirmation. Okay.
Much better.
Cool. So, yeah, Paul McCartney once said that he was at a party, one of Queen Elizabeth II's parties, and she actually left to go watch Twin Peaks. So, obviously, this was a huge show, massively inspirational.
Yeah, weren't you telling me, too, that they sold, party kits?
That was now. They're actually selling it. They had a limited run of party kits that you could buy. Okay. Because people would have Twin Peaks parties.
Yeah, we saw some footage, and it's pretty much exactly if you look up a Game of Thrones watch party, is exactly that, with people yelling at the screen or confused. It's cool.
A lot of confusion.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's pretty much the main theme of this show is you will be confused at one point.
But yeah, it inspired tons of shows that we know the group loves. Lost
for Cal. For sure.
You had a list. It's endless, really. Fringe.
Apparently, I haven't watched Riverdale because I still can't get over the fact they turned Archie into a CW show. But I heard that it has elements of that.
Stranger Things.
Wayward Pines.
Broadchurch.
Broadchurch is really good.
So it's really endless. X-Files, of course,
yes.
Following it 2 years after, and definitely inspired by the FBI theme and supernatural elements and weird stuff. But yeah, Twin Peaks is amazing.
Another one, a big one, because I love when universes connect, and there's an episode of Fringe where he talks about he knew a Dr. Jacoby, and he had these 3D glasses. And he said he's from Washington State, so it's confirmed. And the name of that episode was the name of the original.
I think it was
title.
It was wrapped in plot, or no, it was Northwest something.
The Great Northwest.
Northwest Passage, I think.
Northwest Passage,
which
and
was that was the original name of Twin Peaks.
You're telling me they even had a pie reference in there, which I forgot about.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. I love that stuff.
So. I love pie. So.
And we were also talking because everyone says that Twin Peaks was so ahead of its time, and that's kind of why it kind of fell through, because it was canceled after 2 seasons. Unfortunately, the mystery got revealed too quickly, and audiences kind of fell through, and they moved the night. It was
and Lynch wasn't as involved in the second season as well.
And it was on Saturday nights. They moved it to Saturday nights, which kills it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I guess we should probably get started.
Yeah,
'cause
get the recap.
This is a lot of information we're gonna go over.
Yeah,
We're gonna start out with season
season
1, and we're gonna go in order just in case anyone is watching and they want to prevent spoilers.
Yes.
Technically, Fire Walk with Me is a prequel, but we're gonna cover Fire Walk with Me last because that's definitely the order we recommend you watching them in, because Fire Walk with Me is heavily spoilery.
Yeah, like it's
you-
not
yeah.
even coy about it because we get it from Laura's point of view. And speaking of Laura, the first scene we see in the movie is pretty much this well, is it the
Well, there's an
Rathbone?
older gentleman who finds a body
Yes.
on the beach, and it's actually the actor who was the lead in Eraserhead, which I didn't ever realize that. Just upon researching in the last few days, I discovered that, and I was like, oh man, like that's amazing tie-in. Who he was also one of David Lynch's close friends.
He was in
So-
other movies too. I just can't remember exactly which
He was in a lot of his work, but most well known as the lead in Eraserhead. So he finds a body, and he calls the police. He gets a hold of, it's actually Harry S. Truman is the sheriff's name, and he says there's a body here. She's dead, wrapped in plastic, and that's when we get the iconic shots of Laura Palmer wrapped in plastic and being unveiled. And of course, at this point, when the sheriff shows up, he recognizes the girl as Laura Palmer because it's a small town.
Yeah, and she's homecoming queen. Like, she is well known.
Her father's known, like their
Yeah.
family is known. The dad, I believe, is an attorney.
That sounds right.
Yeah. So then we basically get a scene with Laura's mother realizing that she's not home. And she starts getting nervous and she starts calling around. And as she gets a hold of Leland, right in the middle of her phone call, Sheriff Truman walks in and delivers the news that she has in fact been found dead.
And right away, because we see the actor who plays Leland, and I know you have the name written down somewhere, but we've seen him in a lot of stuff since Twin Peaks. But I don't think I've seen him act better than I have in this
really
season.
Great, yeah.
And you know it right away.
Mm-hmm.
Like that first scene, you know, oh, this is a father grieving. Like,
yeah.
He plays the part.
And the mother too. She's just wailing.
Well, I like the mom, but that's pretty much all she does.
But listen, like
I get it.
Another element that you get with Twin Peaks is kind of tropes from soap operas and tropes from horror movies and stuff. So it does get over the top, but it's with the intent of getting over the top, I believe.
Yeah. And I think all in all, the show is really good. But like the mystery is what stands out in it compared to some of the other elements. I mean, like besides like the artistic elements, which are obviously like the foundation of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I think that like as far as genre goes, I think they do mystery much better than they do romance. Not to say that I don't like some of the romance.
And there's lots of.
Oh, we'll get to it. Cal's gonna like it.
Yeah, Cal will like that.
So,
yeah, Ray Wise is the name of the actor. Cal said in the chat.
Nice.
That is correct.
So
after that, we are going to be introduced to Special Agent Dale Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
He's a bit eccentric, played by the wonderful and talented Kyle MacLachlan, who still looks great, and we're both very excited to see him in the return of the show. And you meet him. He has a little microphone recorder that he's always leaving notes to his secretary Diane.
I always thought it was his like superior. I thought he was reporting to his superior.
I think it's his secretary.
Maybe.
I believe
I was giving Diane a lot of credit.
But so he's always taking these little notes, and some of them are just really inconsequential
they have
stuff.
The most beautiful trees here, and like it comes back up.
And like, oh, there's this diner you got to check out. They have amazing pie and stuff like that. So not all of it is related directly to the case, but some of it is.
We're kind of jumping ahead of the gun, but how great would it be to meet Diane?
Yeah,
that would be amazing because we never do. But he's always leaving her these messages.
It's actually canon that he doesn't remember her last name.
Oh.
I believe in one of the books he says that.
Hi, Mormo. Welcome.
Hey, Mormo.
We were just talking about you, in great ways, of course.
Nothing but love, Mormo. So yeah, we meet Dale Cooper, and like this dude's performance, he's so great. Like Kyle MacLachlan, we were watching some interviews and stuff that are coming out for the show, and he said that's his favorite character he's ever played.
Yeah.
And you can see that like in his passion for the show. He really delivers a great performance, and like he's super handsome especially at that time, and he's really charming and like kind of not like really trying to be funny, but just funny in a really like easy way.
He's like a I don't. He's like eclectic. You know what I mean? Like he's not like a hippie, but he's very open minded, and that kind of like he sets himself up for these.
He
things.
does, because he is a bit eccentric, because he's an FBI agent, but he's also like guided by his dreams, and he's looking for a
Very much
sign
so.
and stuff. And we'll go back to that. But so he shows up. Also, another girl is missing at the time. Her name is Renette Pulaski, I believe, and she gets found in a fugue state. She doesn't know what happened or what's going on, so she's not super helpful. But she was also missing.
And now this isn't part of the main plot, but you're going to hear about this sawmill a lot because this is a lumber town. Although, like, some people want it to be a tourist town, so they don't. There's like a lot of like politics, but not. It's not like Game of Thrones politics. It's just like two characters have politics.
That's mostly about Ben Horn, who we'll get to,
and
which
Catherine.
is Audrey
But
Horn's
I will
father.
say that we're going to also talk about Julia. What's her name? Josie. Sorry, Josie, who runs the sawmill, and we'll get to why later. She closes the mill for the day because of like the guy who works there. His daughter is
she
there.
closes the mill for the
So
day.
it gives you like this really good idea of how close knit this town is.
And it's out of respect for Laura Palmer's body being found, people knowing her, people being upset about it, and Catherine does come down on her later for, I believe they lose something like $87,000 because she closed it for a day, but that just gives you an idea of what type of person Catherine is as compared to Josie. So Cooper is investigating the body, and he looks under her fingernail because he has a hunch that this might be connected to a murder that was a year before in the same town, and he does in fact find it's
in Oregon.
I said it when I looked it up, but they find the letter R under her fingernail, and I believe the murder before they find a letter T under the fingernail. So he does realize that it is in fact connected to the murder that was the year before, and we'll go back to it, but that murder and stuff is what Fire Walk With Me is about. So just placeholder.
Teresa Banks is the girl's name, but yeah, we get to meet her in Fire Walk With Me.
At that point, we find out that Laura Palmer is living a double life. She's known publicly for dating the Bobby, who is the captain of the football team, and he's really popular, and he's kind of a doofus.
He has no chill.
Yeah, he has zero chill. His chill is only Leo is the only one who's worse, who we'll go to later.
If you thought John from Stranger Things, is that the weird boyfriend character?
I don't remember what his name is.
The kid with the hair, because they both have the weird hair. If you think that kid was an asshole, like Bobby is an
Bobby
asshole.
has no chill.
Yeah.
So we find out that Laura is cheating on Bobby with this other kid, James, who's kind of like a James Deany type character. Yeah. He's a biker, but he's like got a heart of gold type thing.
Yeah.
So she's cheating on him with James, and then like you find out later that Bobby is also cheating with this other girl who's in town, and her name is, what is that character? Shelley?
Oh, hold on, Shelley. It is
Shelley.
Shelley
Johnson. And Shelley is married to the other guy with no chill, Leo. Leo has a ponytail. He's a trucker. He's extremely aggressive. He shows up to the house with like blood on him under mysterious circumstances and stuff. So it's like it's implied that he's a real bad dude. And he also definitely beats up Shelley.
And he has a ponytail.
Yeah. But back to Laura. And he also
Billy agrees.
Was he
Leo's a dick.
Was he also involved sexually with Laura?
Yeah,
we find out that Laura is actually a prostitute, and she's doing cocaine.
She's doing coke. She's also a fetish model at one point. And
And she's still in high school, mind you.
Yeah, she's like 17. But what they do is they go over to like Canada across the border, and there's like this place called One-Eyed Jack's and some other establishments there that we'll get more into later. So they're living these like secret lives in Canada.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Okay, so at this point, Laura Palmer's father, Leland, is having a mental breakdown. He's real messed up about it. He's doing weird stuff. He's like dancing with a picture of her.
And he cuts his hand in the scene, and that happened in real life. That was like a Leonardo DiCaprio moment where he just like was so into the acting that like his hand got cut, and
it actually like poured onto the picture, and like
because he was like finger painting with it. Yeah, it was weird.
But it was really like he just felt like in the moment that was the right thing for his character, and I think that for a lot of people that's actually a really iconic.
David Lynch was on the side just going, "That's beautiful. Just keep going."
I love David Lynch, and I love his character, which
Gordon.
we will definitely get talking about later. So mostly at this point in the story, we're focusing on Laura's best friend Donna. She starts falling in love with the biker dude James, and they kind of have a subplot where they're teaming up to try to solve the mystery themselves for a minute.
Yeah.
She also continues that search later when we get to Laura's identical cousin Maddie, which we'll go to. But so Donna and James are researching, and they end up going to her psychiatrist, Dr. Jacoby,
who I talked about before.
Yeah. And we find out basically that Dr. Jacoby is obsessed with Laura, but innocent of her murder.
Yeah, and like
he's like recording her and like listening to it.
Yeah, it's definitely weird, but I don't think it was ever like bad, or at least it never got to like a bad point, obviously, because we find out he's not involved. But like I never felt like there was ill will on his part. Like he was creepy, but I don't feel like he would ever thought to put her in danger or anything like that.
No, I think he loved her in his own weird.
And you can see that because they mess with them later, because Donna is an identical twin, and they're trying to figure out like how he's involved with all this. So they like put her in a wig, and so he's like kind of losing it now too. Everyone is just losing it.
Ben Horn.
Ben Horn.
You want to tell him about Ben Horn's plot a little more?
Ben Horn owns the Great Northern Hotel or something like that.
He's the richest man in town, basically.
And he's the second. Or no, there's two really rich people, and he's the first.
Yeah.
And he has a wife, Sylvia, 2 kids, Audrey, and we were talking about 17-year-olds before, but
Audrey's the hottest. She's so beautiful. She looks like a woman. Show. Yeah, she's.
So, and they have a son who had an accident when he was younger, and now thinks he's a Native American, which is really cool.
Ashley's here.
Because we find out later what the hotel is also a site for.
Yes.
And it's almost like Jonathan was telling us all along. And please remember, like, I'll write a note down. Like, I don't want to forget that, because I never said that out loud before, and I love when that happens.
But basically Ben Horn's plan is that he wants these like foreign investors to help him get rid of this mill so that they can have the land, so that they can develop it for like not mill purposes. I don't remember exactly what they wanted it for.
I think it was like a
resort or something.
A resort or a suburb, something with like multiple buildings, I remember, because they would need that much land.
And like he wanted it because it's like scenic and beautiful there, and
because it is a beautiful area.
They're in Washington, and
there's so many scenic shots just in the opening alone.
Fun fact though, only the pilot of Twin Peaks was actually filmed in Washington. The rest was all filmed in California, like studios and sets and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure there's areas of Washington or of California too that are close to being in that area too.
Woodsy and okay, so Ben Horn, he's having an affair with Catherine.
Catherine.
Let's take a Catherine moment.
So I brought up the sawmill before. Josie owns the sawmill because her husband is Catherine's brother, but her husband died and then left the sawmill to her. But Catherine runs it because she has all the experience.
Catherine, I believe that's Piper Laurie as Catherine.
Where would I know her from? I'm really bad at names. If we haven't figured that out by now,
She's of fame. She's famous.
I'm bad
They'll
at
tell us in the chat.
name fame.
But yeah, she's having an affair with Ben Horn, and he's kind of like legit manipulating her and has like unsavory thoughts about what he's going to do with her when his plan succeeds. But it's like implied that they killed the brother as well, which was Josie's husband, which is how she ended up in the business.
Well, I mean, it's implied in this area, and there's some weight to that.
Yeah.
That we find out later. But yeah, we already have suspicions that something's fishy about,
Yeah.
her coming and owning. We also find out that Josie, despite being a widow, is also in this relationship with the sheriff.
Mhm.
We were talking about before, there's elements of soap opera in this for sure.
I love it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I watched all of it. I never disliked it, but some of, like, for example, James, I think, is kind of the most useless character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he always threatens to get on his bike and leave, and I'm just like, do it, go. And at one point he does go, and then we follow him. I'm like, no, I didn't want to. I just wanted to stay here, and you go.
And you go.
Just go.
Josie is beautiful. That
Yeah.
actress who plays her, I'm a big fan.
Hello, Joe and Ashley, who joined the chat. I don't know if I verbally said hello, Billy. I know I waved to him. Welcome. Thanks for coming by, and I'm glad that Joe thinks that they're a cute couple.
Agreed.
No, they are. And they like to drink each other's blood like vampire weirdos.
And at this point, Audrey is becoming infatuated with Coop, and Coop is not super interested because she's very young, and he's a classy guy. But she starts trying to investigate independently to kind of like get his attention. So she's doing that. Sidebar, one of my favorite things about Twin Peaks is this gorgeous score, and I think we need to talk about that.
Yeah, let me say his name because because I had to write it out phonetically. So his name is Angelo Badalamenti, and it's really cool. It's like smooth jazz meets like
really atmospheric.
Synth, like there's some synth in there,
like new wavy. And one thing that they did with this show that I really appreciate is I think it might be the first show ever to use a leitmotif, which is basically when you have songs that repeat based on like which characters are on or which place you're at and stuff.
For example, Game of Thrones, if you hear Reigns of Castamere.
Or Lord of the Rings has like the Samwise and Frodo music. It has the Shire theme. I'm a big fan of stuff like that. I think it really immerses you into feeling what you're supposed to feel at that moment. And it's gorgeous music. We actually got this for Tom, and I listen to it on the record player often. It's just really cool to like put on for a game night.
And the record is, I don't mean to brag, but it's coffee colored. So that's super cool.
I want to get the Firewalk with Me one. It's also gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically themes, Joe is saying, and he's definitely correct. Okay. So back to the story, we're going to have Coop's first dream sequence.
Yes, and it's about...
the one-armed man?
Yes.
You want to tell him about that?
All right. Well, at this point, I believe he calls himself Mike, or Mike is said at some point, because this is where he gets introduced to him. And Coop is already aged up, which is really cool, and we'll get to like the finishing mark in season 2, or at least around there, that kind of like makes this what's happening now so cool. But he's older here, and he's there with Laura Palmer. It's like this oddly like the chevron pattern floor, with like velvet red curtains and like a single bust on a column and a red couch, and he's in a chair, and there's all that going on, and there's a lot of like, he even says like I am the arm of that's when we meet the man from nowhere, right? He's
yes,
there, right?
We get there, and there is a little person, and he's wearing a red suit, and he's got some jazzy dance moves. Again, the beautiful use of music in that scene. and we meet the one-armed man, and Laura is also there.
Yep.
And basically he gets some like hints about Bob and stuff at this point. So when he wakes up from this dream, Coop strongly believes that if he can decipher what the dream is trying to tell him, that he's going to be able to solve the case.
He even tells the sheriff, he goes, "I know who killed Laura Palmer." And he's like, "Who?" And he goes, "Well, I was told in a dream, but I forgot."
Yeah.
So now it's like I have to figure out, because like he's so sure that he knows, he just can't remember. It's the first of many dream sequences in the show.
So Sheriff Truman and Coop go and track down this one-armed man. His name is Philip Gerard, but he's basically we'll go back to it more, but he's kind of like a vessel for this Mike. But they find out that he does in fact know a Bob, and that leads them through a series of events that takes them in the track where they end up with this Jacques Renault character.
Yes. And they're already looking for someone with the first, because they have Laura Palmer's diary.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing she wrote was
one eye thing too from Audrey, I believe, like a note that Audrey left.
That's true. Audrey also left a note, but in the thing she said, nervous about meeting with Jay tonight. So they had to figure out who the Jay was.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they went the right direction.
Well, they thought that was James. I think.
Yeah, they've already interviewed a bunch of people. They've already got Billy out of the way. They've talked to James at this point because they found a video where it's her and Donna running around, and they saw the reflection of the motorcycle from the eye. There's like a lot of like weird stuff happening in between, but we're just trying to concentrate on like the main timeline.
Yeah. Or Jacoby, Joe says there. So that leads them to Jacques Renault, who is a man who owns a brothel in Canada called One-Eyed Jack's. So at this point, Coop gets this plan where he's like going to go to One-Eyed Jack's and get Jacques Renault to cross the border so that he can arrest him in America, because he's a federal agent. So he's going to be able to have jurisdiction in the U.S.
And Agent Cooper looks smooth as hell in a tux.
He does.
Like they show up like, and you find out there's a secret society there made up of like the sheriff and his deputy, Big Ed, who is James's uncle, and like there was the bookend boys.
Yeah.
And so like they have like a patch, and like it's like a little like inside club, which is kind of cool because I feel like very Hot Fuzz. Like I feel like a town like this would have like a little
Bookhouse Boys.
Bookhouse Boys, that's what it is. So they go and they're doing the because it's cross borders, it's not a real job. He has no jurisdiction.
Yeah.
So they're doing a side mission. It's cool.
Sidebar, Joe just wanted to mention that scene where he was naming people and throwing the rocks at the bottles, looking for clues. Yeah, that was definitely like a part of his like looking for a sign stuff, and we actually watched some like special features on them filming that, and he really did hit him with a rock on accident. I think he hits the sheriff with a rock, and they threw that rock like a ton of times and improvised like different stuff based on what happened. Like you can just tell the joy on Coop's face when he hits the bottle is amazing. It's brilliant.
So it almost implies that they didn't write it for Jacoby's name to be associated to that bottle. They just listed names. It's Andy, of course.
I love Andy.
Does he cry?
Shout out to Andy.
I didn't cry. But when he just ended up hitting the bottle on Jacoby, and they're like,
but it didn't break.
But it didn't break. Write that down. It's very important.
Okay, so back to One-Eyed Jack's.
Yes.
So at this point, I believe he does get him across the border, but at this time he tries to flee and he gets shot and dies trying to escape. Or no, he gets shot and wounded and in the hospital.
Yes. And
because of this mistake.
Now everyone thinks, and somebody leaks the info to Leland, who is Laura's dad, that Jacques is the one who they're looking at for the murder. But they haven't run all the evidence, but that's who they're looking at for it. And so Leland gets into the hospital and kills.
He strangles him, I think. Yeah, in the hospital.
And I think he gets away for a little bit, right?
Yeah, he's not busted at this time. They didn't figure it out. The next main thing is that at this point, Horn goes to execute his plan. He hires Leo to burn down the mill with Catherine inside it to cover his tracks. What do you think about this plan?
Well, Leo's not the brightest cookie. Which, I mean, he was also set up to fail because Horn
had him shot as well at the end, also trying to cover.
But he also lived. I thought, like, when I was watching this, we were gonna get.
You don't find that out till season 2, but
spoilers. Sorry. But I was expecting a large body count. And it was kind of relieving to see, like, not everyone died, but they got out safely. Well, no, not Catherine. Catherine was never found.
Which you also don't find out till season 2, but.
What do you want me to say? Horn gunned down. Oh, okay. Okay, so then Cooper goes back to his hotel room after all this goes down. He's starting to, like, disrobe and everything. Under his tux, he had his bulletproof vest. Or no, he had a bulletproof. He had it under there, but he hadn't taken it off yet. But there's a little tick.
You're going too far. That's also season 2.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It's a cliffhanger. All we see is him get shot. They leave us on a cliffhanger.
He's shot and bleeding. Can I talk about it now?
When we go to the second season, but I think before, because I know that Billy hasn't seen season 2 yet.
Do you want to bring somebody in and talk about season 1?
Well, I was just gonna mention some other stuff in season 1 that I thought was great that they didn't mention. Was
the music?
Was this season 1?
No, it's season 2.
So Log Lady, first and foremost.
Ashley asked if Log Lady is more important than James.
Log Lady is very important in my heart because she's effing awesome, and that's what I want to be when I'm old, is a crazy Log Lady. So the actress who played Log Lady actually was the proud owner of that log until her death, and in true Twin Peaks style, it's mysteriously missing. No one knows where it went, but she used to sleep with that prop underneath her bed, and no one knows what happened to it after her death. So I think they should have buried her with it, maybe.
Maybe they did.
Because she used to bring it to, like, appearances at conventions and stuff. Oh, did you watch Psych? Is that also another one inspired?
Is Log Lady in Psych? Does Log Lady? Sorry, we're getting.
Yeah, and if we missed anything that you guys want to talk about from season 1, feel free to remind us in the chat, because there are a lot of characters. Why don't you show them what you made?
Right. There's spoilers in there.
I think you'll be fine for this.
It tells you what happened, how she dies.
Oh yeah.
She's picking on me for season 1 spoilers, but she wants to blow the big reveal. But I do have a fun visual aid for you guys later.
Yeah, that is true. Nadine and Big Ed, I love that plot. I think it's funny. Like, it's a side story. Nadine is kind of plain. She's missing an eye. You find out that Big Ed shot her on their honeymoon.
Well, you don't find that out till season 2, but yeah.
Stop. You're ruining the show.
I'm not. I'm fussing up. Yeah. What happened was they went on their honeymoon and they were, like, at a hunting cabin, and they went hunting, and the shrapnel bounced off and hit her in the eye, but she's never blamed him for it or has complained about it. So, like, it's obvious that he's not really into the relationship anymore, and it's not like she's so overbearing, and he just doesn't know what to do anymore.
And he doesn't want to hurt her feelings.
Yeah.
Like, he's a nice dude. He's actually having an affair with his high school sweetheart.
I don't know if they have initiated it at this point, but when we meet them at first, like, there is that tension there. She's also married, and her husband is in prison, but then he gets out, Hank. And he's the one who shoots Leland. There's, like, it's very soap opera because, like, everyone is involved with somebody somehow.
And her drape runners, yes. Cotton balls. She does figure out her drape runners. It's a proud moment. I did want to say about Norma, that actress is very beautiful, and we recently found out that she is Rashida Jones's mother. And now that I know that, I can't unsee it. She looks just like her to me. But very gorgeous woman. Her name is Peggy Lipton. And so I wanted to shout her out too. I think that she's like an interesting side character that they have. There's like a bunch of like romance plots and stuff with tons of characters that are so like quirky and interesting. Like Nadine's great. I love to watch Nadine because she's so strange.
She's also like super strong, which they
she's
never
always on like
explain.
the rowing machine.
But like she like bends iron like it's nothing. And like maybe that's like just reinforcing the stereotype that like if you have one eye, you're a badass. Like Nick Fury, Solid Snake. There's plenty of examples. The Bride, no, not the Bride. The one she fights.
Mr. Wednesday.
Not everyone knows that's a glass eye, babe.
He said it, just the one.
Yeah, that just implies that he has one good eye.
No, because you can tell that one of them's not
real. Good thing Cal. Oh wait.
I don't know if we have any. Oh, and Gordon Cole, is he in season 1? I believe.
I think he's in briefly. I think we get more fun Gordon in the second one, but right away he's like.
That's David Lynch's character. He's hard of hearing.
And he's yelling all the time. I'm not gonna.
He's hysterical. I love every bit of it.
You leave Candace alone. Fight.
That's all I have for season 1.
Well, how Billy? Are you around? I thought I.
Did you want to let him hop in for a minute?
Yeah, and
we might run a little long today. That's why we started at 8 because honestly, this is a whole lot of information we're going over.
But I mean, that took us what, a half hour to get through season 1. We're on a pretty good schedule, so let's talk about that for a few minutes. I'm gonna make a cup of coffee in true Twin Peaks fashion, real quick.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have Billy call in and talk about
Miguel Ferrer. How do I say that?
Ferrer.
Well, he unfortunately passed away at the beginning of the year, but he did in fact get to record his cameo for the upcoming season. So you'll be seeing him. It's actually going to be his last television appearance. But I looked that up because I was like, man, I knew he had passed away, and I was hoping that like he got to be a part of it, and he did. So I think it's cool that this gets to be the last TV performance from him.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the only person who I've seen who's not coming back is
the man from Another Place.
Yeah, who's
the little guy in the red suit.
Yeah,
love that dude.
He went crazy.
He went crazy and accused Lynch of being a pedophile and a murderer and stuff. Google it. Because we saw that he wasn't coming on the show, and we were wondering why, because nearly everybody is coming back. But it's because he got like pissed about.
Well, no, that's not why, but he got pissed because he wasn't involved.
He got pissed because he wasn't invited because he was asking for like too much money and like being a diva about it. So then like he made all these wild, ridiculous accusations about David Lynch, like horrible stuff.
Pretty much saying that like Twin Peaks is just like David Lynch's real life with his daughter, implying like David Lynch's Leland.
Yeah, like a bunch of like really crazy.
Although his hair turning white, he was transforming into I don't think it's
dude. I'm right here.
What's going on, buddy?
I haven't seen all of Twin Peaks yet, but yeah. Hey, now I know that. I know that Leland is his hair turns white at the very least.
Just blew the whole thing.
Just ruined it, man. No, it's okay. It's okay.
I thought we all knew this was a spoiler thing. Do we not?
No, because we were not supposed to go into season 2 yet.
Exactly. But either way, I probably would have.
We should have done separate episodes then. Because
Tom. It's okay. And you forgot to say a damn fine cup of coffee.
I'm gonna go make one.
There we go.
So you only saw the first season.
Yeah.
What did you think?
It's weird, man. I mean, it's in true Lynch fashion. It is weird, but I loved it. I mean, I can't really describe it aside from it's just Twin Peaks. It's something you have to see. And Dale Cooper is now one of my favorite characters ever. Kyle MacLachlan does an unbelievable job as whenever all the supporting cast is really good too. I mean, you were talking about like the Log Lady, Shelley, Leo, Big Ed, Nadine, and her stupid curtains. Yeah, all these characters are
It's
awesome.
drape runners, okay?
I don't care.
And she got the oil on the cotton balls, and she figured it out.
That was because Ed walked in, and he
It
got
was.
oil on it. And that's the.
We were actually watching an interview with her, and she was talking about her character's like overreaction when he gets the oil like on the cotton ball or on the drapes and stuff. And she said that the direction that David Lynch gave her, that was like secretly whispered into her ear, is the drapes they're a baby, like treat it like it's a baby. So like that's why she like screams when it happens, because she was directed to like treat these drapes as if it was her child.
It's a good direction, David Lynch, and your amazing, amazing hair, which just, like it just goes everywhere. Yeah, I'm also a big Lynch fan. I just got Eraserhead and Mulholland Drive on Criterion. Eraserhead, it's even weirder than Twin Peaks. It's I literally can't describe it. I cannot describe the plot. That's something I've never been able to do, and
I
it's
see
great.
Showing love for Blue Velvet and Mulholland.
Blue Velvet is
in the chat, and Joe's saying that he wants to see Mulholland Drive and Blue Velvet. The Elephant Man is a masterpiece.
Oh, Elephant Man is probably his least Lynchian film, but it's still a really good film.
I was talking to Tom, like he's so strange because he's like the Ed Wood of our generation, but he's super talented.
Yeah,
he's like if Ed Wood was good, you know, because he's so enthusiastic and like he started the whole like auteur driven like television and all that thing. Like he's such an artist, but he's excellent, you know, like you can be bizarre and excellent, and that's what he is.
Yeah. If the internet existed back in his early days, he would have been destroyed, and he would have been like a cult director, but thankfully that didn't happen, and he has elevated to the status which he rightly deserves. And yeah, David Lynch is a very strange man. I mean, I can't stop saying strange or weird or just visually, he's amazing.
I'd almost argue that, sorry to just jump in on here. Almost argue that despite the internet not being around, he almost was kind of a cult director. Like, not to the point where it's like Donnie Darko fanboys down your throat, but like people who are passionate about David Lynch spread the word, and they have their own little cult following for sure.
Yeah, and
both arguments were.
I forgot to mention in the chat, Mormo said Blue Velvet, as did Joe. Yeah, Blue Velvet's really good, and Dennis Hopper freaks me out in that movie. Don't remind me. It's so weird. It's also the only film I've ever seen Isabella Rossellini in. Apparently, she was really good in it, but that's like literally the only film I've seen her in.
You haven't seen Death Becomes Her?
No.
That movie's freaking amazing. Get on that. That's
Yeah.
what I know her from.
Okay.
We did a Horror House Picture Show with Mormo about that movie. Morgan, sorry. The MO got me. The MOR. Yeah. With Morgan. So if you're interested.
Wait. Is this the one with Meryl Streep in it?
Yes, it's so good.
You know what? I haven't seen a lot of films. I just recently saw A Knight's Tale for the first time.
Oh my God.
Great.
So good.
You know, being a Queen fan, you'd think I would, because I had known that they play Queen's We Will Rock You in the beginning, and oddly it works.
Yeah, I remember when that trailer came out, and I thought they were doing some suicide, like, granted, not like, but you know what I mean, that style of, like, the trailer, like, doing it to the song.
Yeah.
But that was, when it was actually in the movie, I was like, that's so cool.
It's called a Lance.
And King Robert's in there.
Yeah, Mark Addy. Paul Bettany is in it.
Alan Tudyk's great in that, yeah.
He says, I will bomb you.
And I love the crier.
My favorite line is, it's called a Lance. Hello. Just the way Alan Tudyk just delivers it.
Yeah, you got Vision, the Joker, King Robert, and
And K2 and Wash.
Yeah, Wash.
I mean, like
Kimber went the
Alan
Moana
Tudyk had
route
like
of it.
probably the best career out of all of them, and like geek sci-fi.
He's the best thing in iRobot.
I barely remember that movie. All I know is Will Smith and these freaky looking robots. Apparently, he's one of them.
He played. No, he's not one of them.
No, not Will Smith. Alan Tudyk.
Yeah, he's the main dude.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember his name, but yeah. Anyway, we can talk. We should do an Alan Tudyk podcast, but
Oh, I mean, we could, but
I'm sure
we're
he would
still on
listen.
Twin Peaks. But I loved the first season. I'm definitely gonna watch more because I gotta know who killed Laura Palmer. I have a list of suspects and I have a few theories, but I'm pretty sure none of them will matter in the end because I just gotta watch it before season 3. Because there's a lot more episodes, and the first season is only like 8 episodes.
So this movie, we're gonna talk about it later, but this movie, it came out afterwards. Fire Walk with Me.
It's a prequel, right?
And it's a prequel, and it's all from Laura's point of view.
Ooh.
Now,
Starring David Bowie and Chris Isaac.
yeah, David Bowie is. I don't know about starring. It has David Bowie in it. Chris Isaacs has a more significant role.
Really?
Who sings Wicked Games? If you don't know who Chris Isaac is. Okay, so it is a prequel, but the ending of it is also the ending of the series. So after you watch season 2, hit me up and I'll tell you. If you don't have time to watch this, I'll tell you how it kind of leaves off.
You'll be able to watch the rest of this episode.
Oh, that's true.
The series is still going. Well, the series is now revived.
What I'm
ties
saying
up
is,
loose ends.
because technically this is episode 29, they count it as, even though it is a prequel. Like, it's weird.
The entire David Lynch pantheon of films, from like Lost Highway, which is probably like his most divisive film, really, to Blue Velvet, to this, is just weird. But it's weird in the best way possible.
We should also give Mark Frost a lot of credit too. He was
very much so.
And he works on a lot of cool stuff. I think he did a lot of like early cop shows and stuff like that.
And David Lynch's frequent collaborators, probably his most famous is Kyle MacLachlan.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and Kyle loves David Lynch, and you can tell.
And we love Kyle.
Yes, we do.
You should have seen Tom's freaking heart melt right in front of me. We were watching like they did like these little biographies for the show coming up, and it was like a current video of Kyle MacLachlan, and he said the line, "A damn fine cup of coffee and hot," and Tom's heart just like melted right in front of me. He was like,
Yeah,
it was really cute.
I love it.
I always knew him as that guy from Showgirls with the weird haircut, but now I will always know him as Dale Cooper, Agent Dale Cooper.
Yeah, and I loved him.
Special agent.
He was my favorite thing in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I loved him as Mr. Hyde. I
Oh,
thought
he
was great.
he was amazing in Agent.
I loved him on How I Met Your Mother as the captain.
The captain.
With
See
the,
it?
with
Oh,
the
yeah.
angry eyes and the happy smile.
He's also
and the mayor of Portlandia.
I have not seen Portlandia. I've been told it's good. But yeah, How I Met Your Mother. He's an important part in the pineapple incident, and they solved the pineapple incident. It involves the captain. So yeah, I'm a big How I Met Your Mother fan too. So
Yeah.
one of those.
It all comes around.
All right, Billy. I think we're gonna move on to season 2.
Okay,
You're gonna want to get out of here.
I will. But I had to tune in, and yeah, you guys are awesome as always.
Oh,
Thanks, Billy.
buddy.
You coming by for OSP?
Yeah, of course.
All right. We're going to be talking mythology and pop culture.
I'm gonna show my love of the Greek mythology. I know like a lot of them, but it's mostly gonna be Greek. But I'm slowly getting into like all the others because of American gods. So
Nice.
yeah.
I will be talking about Moana.
Well, okay.
Moana, it's the best movie. I
Oh.
love it.
Hopefully. Billy
Also,
doesn't
Alan
lose the
Tudyk.
Kraken.
As the chicken, hi.
Yeah, that
Yes.
was her pick.
Hey.
Yeah, hey. Dumbest character in a Disney movie ever.
I love him. I wanted to
He's
get him
so
tattooed on.
amazing.
He's so ugly. You're the little girl from Ant-Man.
All right.
All right,
guys.
buddy.
We'll talk to you soon. All right. Season 2. Now I can talk about whatever I want.
Okay, let's give Billy like 5 seconds. Okay, ready?
So Laura Palmer gets killed by...
Wait.
No, I'm kidding.
Lying hurt in his room, Cooper has a vision of a giant who gives him 3 clues. The first one he says is, there is a man in a smiling bag. The second one is, the owls are not what they seem. And the third one is, without chemicals, he points. And then at that point, the giant takes the ring off of Cooper's finger, and he says that he will give it back to him when he understands. What do you think about that sequence?
Trippy. And I love the old man because, like, after that happens, the old man comes in, and he's like, just, and like Cooper's just bleeding on the floor, and he's like, like, I love those little moments in between things that he just inserts for no reason.
It's very Lynch, Lynchian, I suppose. At that point, Catherine Martell has disappeared and is presumed dead. From the fire in the mill, of course. And Leland pops back up, and his hair has turned white overnight.
Yep.
And he returns to work. But
There's
he's
a little
like,
spring in his step.
Yeah, he's a little
unhinged.
He's a little, well, I think he's like rejuvenated from taking the life.
Well, the way because
from murdering the guy, I think that's where he gets his spring in his step. Yeah.
Because he's eating dinner with his doctor, and the doctor's like, "So what happened?" And he's like, you know, compared to my daughter dying, this is like not shocking at all. It kind of gave me like a new outlook on life. So he's
kind of like it, like
he's all of a sudden he's not so like weepy anymore. He's like kind of getting over his grieving. He's the
like
mom
manic.
Not so much at all. The mom is almost getting worse.
Yeah, he's like manic, and I think it's having an effect on the mom that like she's getting upset because he seems so lighthearted about it.
Yeah, but I mean, before this, he was still acting manic because season 1, he was dancing by himself.
Yeah,
like pleading for someone to dance with him in the middle of a dance floor. Like
that was sad. That scene
unstable.
tears me up. Yeah,
he's a great actor.
Let's see. We find out at this point that the one-armed man, Philip Gerard, who they talk to, is in fact the host for Mike, a demonic inhabiting spirit who uses Bob to help him. Bob is kind of like a lesser spirit.
Yeah, pretty much
like a henchman.
They like harvest like pain and sorrow.
And they kill humans as well. Mike reveals to us that Bob has been possessing someone for decades, but he doesn't tell us who it is.
And now we know Bob is not a person, but like an it, which we've had our suspicions because he's weird. But he says that this is not his face. Like they get a sketch and everything, but this is not his face.
Fun fact about that guy, he was literally just in the right place at the right time. He was like a set designer for the show, and there was a scene early on where you can see his reflection in a mirror because he was just in the shot, like not purposefully, and Lynch liked it, so he ended up casting him as Bob. Killer Bob is how his character is known. And yes, he's super creepy, and I love the artist depiction of him that they get, like the police sketch. It's awesome. So as all that's happening, we get Donna searching for clues. I believe at this point she's got like Maddie helping her.
Yeah, Maddie, the identical cousin.
The identical cousin, played by the same actress as Laura Palmer. And so she starts taking up her Meals on Wheels route to like, you know, retrace her steps, see if she knew anyone. And through this, we meet an agoraphobic man named Harold Smith. And we find out that he is in possession of one of Laura Palmer's diaries. And
one of the many people who pines after Laura. Like through all of this, we figure out that Harold yearns for Laura. Ben Horn, he wants to be with Laura. Like everybody wants to be with the homecoming queen, and we touch more on that in Fire Walk with Me. But
and a lot of people were. It is canon that Laura, who is 18 years old at this when she's murdered,
maybe
because that would put her at 17 in Fire Walk with Me.
Yeah. Okay.
So she's 18 years old, and it's canon that she had 40 plus lovers. So this girl, like,
Ashley asks in the chat if they brought the cousin in to keep using the actress.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, Lynch really liked her. And she was just a local actress they picked up to play as a corpse in for that video feed. And then they're like, and she really gets to shine in this.
And yeah, Joe's talking about Lynch's son and the old woman. Definitely recurring characters also in Fire Walk with Me, I believe.
Who always show up on the Meals on Wheels route.
Yeah.
Um,
So Donna gets this plot where she wants to steal the diary, and she has Madison like helping her trick this guy. But throughout all this, they get busted. Harold catches what they're trying to do, and he kind of like loses all faith in humanity, and tragically commits suicide in his greenhouse.
Right after like mutilating his face in front of them with like a garden rake, like or like a trowel. I don't know exactly what those are called, but the little raptor things. Cream corn, gross.
Yeah, I can't deal with that scene. Grosses me out. And at this point, when they get the diary, the police get custody of the diary, and this is how they find out that Laura has in fact been sexually abused by Bob since she was 12, I believe it is, and this is why she's been taking drugs to cope with her sexual abuse.
And she also writes in a diary, Bob is a friend of her father's.
Yes. Coop actually like breaks the lock right off of the diary, which cracks me up because he's like, is there a key? And they're like, no, we're still looking for it. And he just smashes it. And him and Truman share a look, and Truman goes, why not? I love that one. Cooper at this point is under the impression that it's Ben Horn.
Yeah, and they purposely put in a few red herrings in the episodes to make the audience feel like it was Ben too. But he does it like, it's cool, the reveal when he's trying to confront Ben and everything like that. He does it very much so in the lobby of the hotel, but it's like Orient Express, where he gathers everyone and he's like, one of you is the murderer. Like, I love that shit. And so I got a big
Sherlock episode as well.
Yeah.
The wedding, yeah.
Oh, the wedding one is
yeah, great. It's got like that type of feel. So, and pretty soon after this, we find out that it is not Ben Horn. We actually see Leland go ahead and kill Maddie in front of us, and we realize that he, in fact, is the killer.
Yeah. Plot twist.
Yeah, so at this point, Cooper is looking for a sign, and the giant appears and confirms to him that Leland is Bob's host.
By showing him, because one of the first things in the visions he saw was Mike's arm, or the man from another place saying that gum you like is going to come back in style, and literally the old man delivers that line in front of him, because we see then in this moment too that the old man, who the thumbs up guy, is the giant. He's just like his mortal version, or avatar. I don't know, but
yeah. So at this point, they take Leland into custody. He is fully possessed by Bob. He confesses to a bunch of murders,
including Teresa Banks, who we were talking about before.
And you hear like Bob kind of has a conversation through Leland where he says like, this guy is a babe in the woods, I think he says. He doesn't understand like what he's done, but I'm going to pull the ripcord and he's going to figure everything out, but he won't have too long like to absorb it. Like basically saying like, this dude's going to die, but right before that, I'm going to let him understand fully all the things that he's done with like through like I've done through him, and then he's only going to have moments to live with that.
Yeah. Leland is a tragic character.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about that before, because like you don't want to feel bad for Leland because he is kind of a monster, but at the same time, none of it would. Like we were talking about before, like he was possessed for years, and we find out like he was being molested at a young age by Bob, and we also find out when they're showing off the picture,
mm-hmm.
and he's like, "Oh, I know that guy. He used to live up the road from me. He would throw matches at me,"
mm-hmm.
and like
And he
So
perfectly throws that match across
the
the room
ashtray,
into the
yeah.
ashtray.
So that was a cool little foreshadowing thing. But like, you realize how good of a job they did, like playing with it and realizing why Leland was acting that way all along.
Yeah, basically Leland has been possessed by Bob. Basically, I always took it like sexually abused when he's young, and then like when he's reached like sexual maturity and stuff, and Bob can use him in different ways, then Bob starts possessing him. So he's been possessed for decades, like they said. And at that point, Leland, he forces Leland to commit suicide. And while he is dying in Cooper's arms, basically, he gets the flood of information to him, like of all the things that he's done all at once hitting him. And he's just suffering terribly, like physically and mentally, because he realizes like that he was raping and murdered his daughter and his niece as well. Like it's terrible. It's a horrible moment.
Yeah. And this is where the show kind of not falls apart, but kind of
gets weird. This is where it gets weird.
Because at this point they're wondering if Bob exists, if Bob is just a thing that, is that what evil that men do? Is that what we call Bob? Or is he just crazy? You know what I mean?
He kind of like sees Laura welcoming him to like,
yeah.
He asks for forgiveness, and he sees like Laura like kind of beckon him into the afterlife. So he has like, I guess like it's insinuated that like she understands and forgives him in a way. So at least there's that.
Well, I think when you watch Fire Walk with Me too, you see that she knows. Like
yeah.
She knows before anybody who's gonna kill her. And it's interesting to see how she tries to like talk to her dad about it, but can't. You know what I mean? Without like making it weird.
Plus, it's like Leland is like switched off when Bob is on, so he's not like really absorbing.
And I feel like Leland is never really there. I feel like Leland is just like a
It wasn't Leland doing any of it.
But like Leland thinks he exists and everything like that, but it's always Bob looking behind his eyes. You know what I mean? And so Ashley brings up a good point. The network made them rush the reveal because they weren't planning on revealing who the killer was. David Lynch almost played with the idea of never revealing who the killer was. And so after this, they kind of, had to bring together these other side plots that were going on. More stuff with Ben Horn going crazy too.
At this point in the plot, what they do is like Cooper's preparing to leave Twin Peaks because the case is solved. At that point, we meet Jean Renault, who is the brother of Jacques, who he blames Cooper for the death of his brother, and he goes on to frame Cooper for drug trafficking. And he gets suspended from the FBI. Once again, gets killed in a shootout against Cooper, and Cooper gets cleared of all charges. And then we meet Wyndham Earle.
Yeah, and Wyndham Earle is interesting. He's almost like Hans Gruber meets like the demon from The Exorcist. I don't know. It's weird. Like he's
Cooper's former mentor, and he was his partner in the FBI. He's got a vendetta against Cooper because Cooper slept with his wife, and that's a no-no. But I believe he murdered his wife and stabbed Cooper.
Yeah,
and then he was in a mental institution near Twin Peaks, and now he has escaped.
And so now that he's escaped, Cooper is being briefed on, his updates in the thing. And a big element that we haven't really touched on this whole thing is Hawk. What's his name? The deputy? The Native American deputy?
Okay, yeah.
He's informing because there is a spiritual side of everything like that, and Cooper is more willing to accept it than anybody. So he's quick to make friends with the deputy, and Hawk I think his name's Hawk, is informing him of the area and the local myths and everything, including the White Lodge, which is a place of prosperity and then at Shadow, the Black Lodge. And so that's where they think that Bob is a trip. I think Mike pretty much told him that that's where he goes in his dreams at one point.
Yeah. And these are two like extra dimensional realms with openings in the woods near Twin Peaks.
And they go and they look for it, and I think by this time they have a pretty good idea where it is.
You're skipping
even go
the chess
cave
game.
diving. Oh, I forgot all about the chess game.
Yeah. So Wyndham Earl, backtracking a little bit, Wyndham Earl starts playing this like deadly chess game with Cooper, in which like every time he captures a piece from Cooper, he murders a person. So that's like that plot is going on at the same time. And basically what happens is you have Annie now coming into the story, and Annie is a love interest for Coop, played by Heather Graham. She works at the diner and stuff. They're cute. And she ends up winning the Miss Twin Peaks contest, and then Wyndham Earl snatches her.
And while all this, they find out by reviewing the tapes that Wyndham Earl is also aware of the Black Lodge. He's also is having these kind of visions and stuff like that. So he's in on the supernatural element as well as a personal vendetta against Coop, which is interesting.
Yeah, and then sidebar, another one, we find out that Josie is the one who shot Coop, and they go to arrest her, like confront her, and it gets real weird. She kind of like, I'm assuming, has some sort of heart attack, and she dies right in front of her lover, and then she
turns into a doorknob. Yeah, I thought that was like Bob putting her soul into like an inanimate object. So
yeah.
Like that. So that was why she like just fell over and had no pulse or whatever.
And it's creepy. Like it's like early CG.
Yes,
her face like in a doorknob, and it's like really bizarre, and like funny and disturbing to watch. And then we go to Coop finding the entrance to the Black Lodge.
And the Black Lodge actually like lays parallel to where the Hotel Ben Horn owns, and which is what I was talking about before when we see that Johnny, who's brain damaged, he's always doing like Native American, like it might be sensitive now, but back then like he's doing all these like Native American calls and he thinks he's Native American. And it's interesting that he's doing all that on a place that is maybe not sacred because it's kind of the evil, but like mojo, like some Native American mojo is there. So I always thought that was interesting. That'd be like if like the kid from The Shining put on like had a tomahawk at one point. You know what I mean? Like.
So Coop gets into the Black Lodge and realizes this is the place from his dreams, and then stuff gets real weird, guys.
Yeah.
Let me just. He sees the giant, the man from another place, and Laura, and they all give him prophecies about his future. This is when you get the I'll see you in 25 years and stuff, yes. I believe, which is tying into hopefully what's going to be happening with the show moving forward. Then they start seeing doppelgangers of dead characters from the show, and the doppelgangers actually lead him to Wyndham Earl. And Earl has this barter he wants to do, which is basically like, I will give you Annie if you will give me your soul.
Yeah, which doesn't go over too well.
But Coop agrees, and Earl stabs him. Then Bob appears. This is where it gets follow me, guys. Bob appears. He reverses time and kills Earl and takes his soul instead. Is everyone with me?
In a really cool sequence. It's like a reverse fire shot. It's like really cool.
Yeah. And then Bob proceeds to attack Cooper. And he runs from Bob and a doppelganger of himself.
And then they catch up with each other, and it's pretty much fade to black. But then we see Coop.
Then we see Coop and Annie. They reappear in the woods where Truman has been waiting for them since they went in. Annie is injured and she is hospitalized, but she's presumed like she's not like dying at the moment. She just needs to go to the hospital. Coop has only minor injuries, so they decide to treat him at the hotel. he wakes up. He asks about Annie. How's Annie? I need to brush my teeth, he says. And then you get one of Tom's favorite scenes. I'm going to go ahead and let him take over and tell us what happens at the end.
You see him prepare his toothbrush, and then he just squeezes out the toothpaste and lets it all fall out. And he looks at the thing.
The mirror.
The mirror. He smiles, and then like you hear like an owl shriek at the same time as he crashes his head into the mirror. And from the other side, obviously, it's Bob. So he's possessed by Bob, and he comes and turns his head, and he's like, "How's Annie?"
And you see
How's
Bob's
Annie?
reflection doing the same stuff.
Thing. So as if he's like the new Leland, because we saw that with Leland too. When he looked in the reflection, you would see Bob's.
But he's saying, "How's Annie?" Like almost like mocking him for even asking.
Oh well, it gets even better in Fire Walk.
Yes. And then that's the end of the second season of Twin Peaks. Maybe see if Ashley and Joe want to pop in and give us some thoughts.
Yeah. Well, should I do the chart while they're on?
Yes. Wait, no. Do it before, because I don't know how that with Ashley.
Yeah. Okay. We know you guys are professionals. So.
Yes.
All right. Well, we figured we'd provide a visual aid. So this is the Twin Peaks bang board. And it has everybody who slept with everybody through one way or another.
Do you want to tell them who we got?
Yeah, let's see if I can. Okay, well here we got Laura Palmer, and as we know, she was a little she got around. She had this weird relationship with Bob / Leland this whole time. But I mean, she also had good relationships with James and Bobby. I guess kind of good, not good enough to stick to one. She also messed around with Leo, who was married with Shelley, who ends up banging Bobby. So I guess like Laura and Shelley are kind of like
it's like a love square,
second cousins in a kind of a way. Then we go back to Laura. She slept with Ben Horn, who was sleeping with Catherine. Who
and his wife Sylvia.
We never see them bang, but I assume she's still in the picture.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Laura also slept with Jacques, who slept with Teresa Banks, who also slept with Bob / Leland.
Ronette.
And Ronette. I mean, Ronette slept with Laura too, and Jacques and Leo. Bob and Leland also. I have these little lines. The black lines are not consensual. That's why they're black, because black's bad in this case. Although I guess red could be too, but I like red more. Let's go to a little bit more tame section. Here we got Cooper. Cooper, he had his ex-lover Caroline, who was married to Wyndham. But he came up with Annie later. Audrey was in love with Cooper, but nothing ever happened with it because Cooper's a responsible adult. But she does meet Wheeler and gives it up for Wheeler. We got Josie, who had a relationship with Truman. But she was married to Andrew, who was Catherine's brother, who does show back up in season 2. There's a whole other thing going on there. Then we got James, who also slept with Laura, and later we assume Donna. I think they made it. But she leaves and then has a thing with Evelyn, who's using him for her brother Malcolm, so they can kill her husband Jeffrey. We also got Big Ed.
We got Lucy too, don't forget.
Oh, Lucy. We got Lucy and Andy and Lucy's baby daddy, Dick.
Little love triangle, separate from everyone.
Dick. Let's see. Who else do we got? Big Ed. Married to Nadine. Nadine and Mike, who is Mike is Donna's ex-boyfriend, but they never got together physically. But Nadine and Mike have a thing, which kind of leaves Big Ed to follow his high school sweetheart Norma, who was married to Hank, but Hank's dead. So I think I got everybody. If we have any questions, let me know. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Did they like it?
Corey came in just for the bang board. So thanks, Corey.
And now we can have Ashley.
Now we can have Ashley and Joe on.
He's just here for the bang board.
Ashley goes, thanks for doing this before we got on.
You're welcome.
I'm calling Joe, right? Jerry? Who's Jerry? Hold on.
Do we have to start another bag board?
I have to start all over again. Yes, I got Audrey and Billy Zane. That's who Wheeler is. Wheeler is Billy Zane. He has a plane. He's Billy Zane. They made out on the tarmac. Mackety Mac.
Tarmac-mackin'?
Yeah.
Tarmackin'.
Tarmackin'. Calling Joe. Calling Joe. I cannot wait till we can open a window because it is hot here. I'm going to have to get an air conditioner before Ashley and Joe come up because that's what they're used to.
What about the MILF that the biker kid banged?
Guys, do not
Hello?
listen. The MILF's name is Evelyn. Her fake brother's name was Malcolm. Okay, sorry, guys. But, I mean, the board. Just rewind a little bit.
But Jerry is Ben's brother. And I didn't see Blackie on there either.
Hold on. Wait.
I like your shirt.
Thank you.
Hey, Corey.
Who's who now?
Don't put
Jerry
the
is
board away.
Ben Horn's brother.
Jerry is Ben Horn's brother.
I don't remember him doing anything.
Well, they did go to
I
One-Eyed
do.
Jack's and there was
He takes him to
talk of-
One-Eyed Jack's.
Oh, but who does he?
Who
I don't
knows?
remember.
Oh, but yeah, I need to connect him to somebody.
You know what? He probably slept with Blackie at one point.
Just add him on Laura. You're good.
Okay, yeah. That one of four. Anyway, how's it going, guys? Nice to see you. I know you guys have been busy. Thanks for stopping by.
We're happy
No
to.
problem. Love Twin Peaks.
Sorry we've been missing American Odds, but it's just been, one of those years.
That's fine. You've never missed an odd shaped panel, so I can't really complain if you miss another show.
We have missed an Odd Shape panel.
Why did you remind me? I erased it from my memory.
He's been a spicy Tom today. I don't know what's going on. You
Uh-oh.
sent him spiciness, I think.
It happens.
It's cool. We all need to be a little spicy sometimes.
So, what'd you guys think about season 2?
It is it's got some strong points, but overall you can definitely tell that the writers, not just Lynch, but everyone involved was just kind of like, we don't need to do this show too much longer.
Yeah, especially after the network made them do the reveal that season. It's kind of like, okay, where do we go from here? We're kind of lost. Having this overarching narrative of who killed Laura Palmer was kind of like literally their linchpin. Like, okay, like we can keep going with this, and then they're like, nope, this 90s, we got to have resolutions. You can't keep going with this mystery. Audiences aren't going to follow you with this, so you need to solve it. And definitely after that, it gets really weird, and I can see why it was canceled.
Hashtag linchpin. I like that. I see what you did there.
Yes.
I did like the more inclusion of the mystic side of the show. I always felt that was really interesting to me.
And the fact that Coop is into that whole thing where you think like an FBI agent, usually they're more portrayed as very straight-laced and serious, and he's like, oh, in a dream I found out who killed her. We're going to listen to the dream I had, where most people would be like, no, like that's not hard-based evidence.
So he was Mulder before Mulder.
Yeah, it's Mulder. Yeah. Like, it's definitely Mulder. And speaking of, we did want to talk about the wonderful Denise.
Right.
Which is...
completely forgot about.
Yeah, I love Denise. That's actually, I believe, David Duchovny's first character he ever played on TV. But Denise is a transgender FBI agent played by David Duchovny, and I sincerely hope that he reprises his role because I freaking love Denise.
Yep.
She's got great lines, dude. Like, and she was so like, it's a show with tons of weird stuff, but that's not like treated like something that's terribly weird and
especially
way ahead of its time.
Oh, definitely.
Especially, like, the only people that kind of look at it even slightly weird is like Truman, and it's only probably because he's like, oh, this is the first time I've experienced something like this.
But it's not weird to Coop.
Yeah.
And I feel like Coop is like the voice for the audience, you know, and like Coop isn't phased at all by any of that. Like Dennis, Denise, okay, FBI agent, not worried about it, you know,
can still do her job.
and yeah, I love Denise. I just can't, like, that's all I want to say is that Denise is great, and it's another one of those fun, like, quirky characters that I'm glad that they had on the show, you know?
I will say also, because it was only mentioned slightly and talked about a little bit in the first season chat, but it did bleed into the second season. Like, Albert's one of my favorite characters on the series, and the fact that he goes from, like, literally him and Truman wanting to kill each other in the first season to almost being, like, best friends by the end of the second season. I just loved it.
Loved it. Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of little things that it's kind of like, if you haven't seen the show and you're watching this, you're crazy.
The characters are amazing. That's what keeps you going on Twin Peaks, is that it's beautiful to look at and the characters are amazing.
I liked Lucy and Andy, and then who was the other guy that works at the department store?
Dick.
Yeah, where they're having they're fighting over her, and like clearly Lucy belongs with Andy, even though he's very simple and just like who is the father of the kid?
Andy's so emotional. Like
I love Andy. I do.
He's crying.
He is the heart and soul of that show.
He is, and he's great. And I just love the fact that they were like, when he says Dick with such disdain. He's like, "Oh, did Dick buy that for you?" Like
he says it like it's
he's
an
calling
insult.
him a dick, which is like, I think Andy coined Dick as an insult. Like, but yeah.
Oh, TJ in the chat. Hey, and Dub.
And Dub. See,
welcome.
I summoned him talking about Lucy's other love interest, but yeah, Lucy's great too. She at first, I kind of got like this Fran Dresser like vibe off of her, and I didn't like her voice at all. But like
her voice is cute.
Within 2 episodes, I was like, okay,
like, I like that voice.
She's cute,
and she doesn't age. She looks fantastic. Like we saw her in some of the upcoming stuff. She like looks exactly the same. It's amazing.
Awesome.
Andy just got like really gray. That's like the biggest. And Hawk. Andy and Hawk just got like super gray, and that's like the biggest difference.
And the dude who plays James looks nothing like James anymore.
No.
At all.
But
they all look great.
I know Cal had mentioned it because we were talking about it in the thing. The Psych episode that's like a Twin Peaks homage has like a huge amount of the cast in it. And I can't remember the character's name, but the guy who plays the shut-in is
Harold.
the sheriff of the town of Dual Spires. And isn't the woman who played Laura his wife?
I think so. She's like the town doctor and like everything in the town, because again, it's like this really isolated town where they don't have the internet. Everything is basically like the early 90s, and people just like it that way. We found that like having a landline was just the way people wanted to go here in Dual Spires, and they've never seen an African American person before. And so like, you know, when Gus shows up with Sean, they're like, "Are you Frederick Douglass?" And it's like, oh my God, we had to leave.
But I think what is it? What else? The woman who plays Audrey, who's the actress's name I can't remember. She's the librarian of the town.
Yeah, her name is Sherilyn Fenn.
Yes, but she's a librarian in the town. They had just like lots of little cameos here and there of the different actors. But the best part is the actor who plays Leland is a regular on the show already, because he's Gus's like priest or something, and he shows up to help them at the end of the episode. And it's like, because they're like, it's like something like his hair is gray, and they're like, "What'd you do to your hair?" And he's like, "Oh, you don't like it? I just decided not to dye it anymore," or something like that. So just little things that I thought was just beautiful touches.
Yeah, because one of the main character, Sean, who's played by James Roday, he's like a huge super fan of Twin Peaks, and like once they learned that they could do like all these homage episodes, like that's what he wanted to do. And like they had like brought like somebody that had like worked on the show, or I forgot like all of the details, but like, you know, like he's friends with Dana Ashbrook, who was on the show, and it's like, hey, like let all your friends know that we're on the show, that like we want them to be a part of this, and like let them know that we're not making fun of Twin Peaks, like this is a loving homage. And so that's how they got a lot of the people on, was through the actor connection.
Nice. That's awesome.
It's a really good episode.
They even modified the theme song of the show to sound like the Twin Peaks theme.
I love it.
It's super eerie.
I love the music from Twin Peaks. It's super beautiful. Like, I recommend everyone to, like, if you want something, like, we've used it for, like, games and stuff before because it's so atmospheric and, like, ethereal. I believe Ashley said that's an appropriate word. It's beautiful, and there's really, like, still nothing else that's like it. I can't really compare it to very much.
It's just so amazing that a show like that was on network television in the early 90s, because that wasn't like a huge risk-taking time if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's even like an episode of The Simpsons where like Homer's watching Twin Peaks and it's like the red light of the traffic swinging by and the giant dancing with the white horse, and he's like, I have no idea what's going on. So like,
Yeah, he's trying to act out like he knows what's going on, and it's like, nope, I don't get this at all. My parents,
I
don't
also think
remember
that,
them being big fans.
Yeah,
My
we
mom was
talked
like,
about
"Like,
American Gods. We talked about American Gods, and I can certainly see the influence of Twin Peaks on that show as well. And
every
the
time
weirdness.
a con starts, you hear jazz, and like it's amazing. Like, yeah, I agree. Anything else
Anything
in
else
season 2?
before we move on to Fire Walk with Me?
I also enjoyed enjoyed's a weird word. Like, Leo was a weird part of this season because he ended up being like Wyndham Earle's like pet minion type thing, and it was just really weird because it went from the whole Leo was being cared for by Bobby and
which was also weird. Shelley.
yeah, Sally, yeah, and it was a fracture in their relationship, and then eventually Leo vanished and he was with Wyndham Earle, and it's just whole series is weird. Great, but weird.
For sure.
Yeah, I love because they were like it was his birthday. It was Leo's birthday when he wakes up from, he's still brain damaged, but he's like
Not brain
been
dead.
under all this abuse from Shelley and Bobby, and like it literally he looks like a clown because of the way the cake is like shoved into his face, and he's just there with an axe, and he is scary.
Yes.
So
he like wakes up and the first thing he wants to do is like try to kill his wife.
Well,
yeah,
you know,
he was very abusive toward her even before
he kind
all of that.
He kind of wanted to kill her previously because he threatened a lot.
Yeah, he did. Tom was talking about the cheek pinching scene, and that always made me very uncomfortable. That's in season 1. He's like accusing her, like he finds cigarette butts that aren't her brand in the ashtray, and he starts like asking like, oh, who was here? Like, are you screwing around? That type of thing. And he's like pinching her cheeks so aggressively and pulling it, and it's really scary. Like, it feels like real type of abuse. You know what I'm saying? Like, the type of things that dudes who abuse women do to their girlfriends for real, and it makes me uncomfortable to like
that they probably think is sweet.
Yeah, that's the scariest part.
Yeah, she must. Like, I always thought it was weird that those two were together. Like, what was like her life before that for her to like want to get married so young to this horrible person?
Yeah, because she was so beautiful too. I was telling Tom, I think that Laura Palmer is actually one of the less attractive girls in the town. Like, all the women on that show are really beautiful ladies.
I love the fashion sense from that time period too, because it doesn't look like anything that, like, I don't remember like what like teenagers were wearing back then, because like my sister wasn't like around like too much when I was that young, but like they just seem like to be like just like dressed like adults.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't feel like
50s.
very teenager fashion.
There's very much like a 50s vibe to it too.
Yeah.
Like they're wearing like these old skirts, and like James is wearing all leather to be like a biker, and it's just in general very it's very much like the Twin Peaks is the town that time forgot.
Yes,
even for its time.
It feels like alternate university because like it does still have like a 90s thing to it at the same time as having like a 50s thing, so it kind of feels like its own, like it's timeless, you know. And I think that that's part of the reason why it's held up so well, because it doesn't feel like it's out of one particular time. It actually kind of feels like it's out of a couple at the same time. It's really unusual. Again, there's not really anything else like it.
Yeah, because I can't remember if there's any like really like current like popular songs that they played or anything that would instantly date it, which is like you always have to be careful like when you're choosing your music. It's like, oh yeah, this is the zeitgeist of the time, and then like 2 or 3 years later, it's like, oh gosh, cringeworthy. Like, why would they choose that song?
Yep.
They did their
Sure.
own thing, and it.
I think that's why Stranger Things did the synth work too, is because it's very much like its own
It's of
animal.
it's of that era too, because the synth was a really popular instrument in the '80s. So
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming by. We're gonna go through Fire Walk With Me quick, and
You have Fire Walk With Me notes.
I do.
don't. Yeah.
but thanks for coming by.
boom.
Yeah, glad to see you guys.
Glad to
And we'll see you in
too.
person soon.
Yup.
Yay.
2 weeks.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Super excited.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Bye.
Yeah, I just got my time off confirmed from work for that, so I'm pretty excited.
Joe cracks me up.
Quick shout out to Mac. Thanks for joining us. I think I saw Mac say that he just got finished with episode 1.
Spoilers.
There is going to be
Like extreme
so
spoiler
many
alert.
spoilers right now.
Yeah, it will ruin the whole show's twist and everything, just to warn you.
So I will give you a couple seconds.
We will now be moving on to talking about Fire Walk With Me, which is a prequel movie that is definitely meant to be watched after you watch the movie, or after you watch a show. Like, it's intended for viewers of the show to watch later.
And
So, 10-second warning, we're going to be talking about this, and it is extremely spoilery, but prepare. And then this shouldn't take nearly as long as season 2 did, because season 2 famously had 22 episodes as compared to the first season's 8, and this is only one movie. So we should get through this quick, and then if we have a little bit of time, I'll see who else wants to call in real quick. But Tom does have work tonight, so we'll see.
So I mean, right away when you're watching this movie, you know you're watching a Twin Peaks movie. It opens with the credits with some smooth jazz playing, and it's against like television static. And so like right away you know what you're in for. And the TV gets struck. There's a scream, and it fades. So we go and we see a bunch of see like 4 FBI agents in like long coats pulling over a bus full of teenagers who are all super upset. We don't know why. But Chet, who was played by
Chris Isaac.
I was going to say Isaac something. So,
Which David Lynch thinks that all FBI agents are super handsome, tall, dark, and handsome types, apparently, which I appreciate.
They all did look like that, all 4 of them. And so he gets a call from David Lynch, Gordon, and there's been a murder. He needs to go meet him in Portland to pick up a doctor and go investigate the body. So he meets up with David Lynch at the airport, and he meets Kiefer Sutherland's character, Stanley, who is like a medical examiner, also an FBI agent. And they also meet Lil the Dancer.
Yes.
And why don't you tell them about Lil?
I love this scene. It is straight up Lynch and Twin Peaks all over it. I believe they're at like a tarmac or something again.
They are. They just,
hangar? Yeah. And they see this woman come out, and she's in a red dress. She has her hand in her pocket. She is doing like this little dance move. She has a blue rose pinned to her, and she has a sour face. And so we kind of see her do like her little gestures for a minute. And then they kind of walk away, and the one guy's kind of like, well, what was that about? And
so they start driving to the murder scene, and he explains, Lil had a sour face, so that's our reception when we get to town. They're not going to like us. And so everything
her dress was tailored, so that means, I think that was like drugs.
Yeah, like there's drugs involved somehow. So like he got all the information about this case from this like 20-second dance, and I think that was really cool.
But he tells them everything that everything means, and then he gets to the blue rose. And when he gets to the blue rose, he just says, like, I can't tell you what the blue rose meant right now.
Yeah. And I don't know if we ever really find out, but it's something that we're always thinking about. So we see right away, he gets there, and of course, like, they were right, like the sheriff's office is a joke. They're giving them a hard time. And hi, Eric. And right away he's like, no nonsense. Like he like grabs the guy by the nose, and he's like, look, I'm FBI. I have jurisdiction. You're gonna play along. So finally, after breaking the guy's balls enough, they get
Because the cops were rude as hell, by the way.
not just like the deputy, like the chief, like all of them.
The lady at the
receptionist,
counter,
super
everyone.
rude.
Yeah.
She was funny though. Like whenever the guy made a joke, she would be like, like a little jackal, and do her like the book.
Like the salacious crumb of Twin Peaks.
Yeah. And then so they go and they look at the body, and it's they find out that it's Teresa Banks, and they find a T under her fingernail. So there's a T under hers, under the not Laura, the other one, Renette.
What she had?
She had an R.
No, that Laura had the R.
Oh, Laura had the R. Well, anyway, you find she had a B. That's what it was,
Yes.
because you find out that Bob is trying to spell Robert. They talk about that in season 2. With all the fingernail stuff. That's weird. I don't get it. I hate fingernail stuff.
Yeah, he has to look away. He's like, tell me when it's done, because I can stare at gore all day.
And it's not even gore. I just don't like stuff on our fingernails. It's weird.
He doesn't like fingernail gore.
So they go back to the diner, and Chet's left arm goes dead, which is weird because that's kind of an indication of Mike, because we know about
His
Gerard
arms
and the arm. But they don't talk more about that. There is a spot here that Mormo brought up where Kiefer Sutherland is drinking his coffee and Chet is being an ass. And he's like, hey, Kiefer, what time is it? And he goes and he checks and he spills coffee all over himself. And, oh, it's getting late. It's getting late. So they don't go to sleep.
Yeah, Kiefer plays kind of like an awkward character, which I would say is pretty uncharacteristic for Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah. I mean, he's still like cool, like FBI agent's still cool. But he's
still kind of like an awkward guy.
Yeah, Mormo's talking about Wrapped in Plastic, the Twin Peaks fanzine. We read about it, but we didn't. Or saw some stuff online about it, but we didn't.
He was also saying that he got a display from like a video store for a Fire Walk with Me when they were going out of business. That's also
super
pretty
cool.
sweet.
So they go in and check out Teresa Banks' trailer. And
that guy was super weird about it.
The landlord?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the landlord just hates being bothered. There's like a sign on his door, don't wake me up after 9. And
he got weird when they got into the trailer. Though.
Oh, well, no, he got weird when the crone shows up. So they're talking.
Yeah.
They're talking, and then all of a sudden, like, this one lady comes in with like an ice packer on her eye. She looks around.
She looks very like dirty, and
the guy gets weird about it, doesn't say anything, and she leaves, and then no one says anything.
That's it with her. Yeah. Now the movie is kind of like known to be, in a lot of people's opinion, like not so great, but it does have great moments, and it's worth a watch if you're like a hardcore Twin Peaks fan.
So they go, yeah, but so they go back. They send the body back to Portland so they can, investigate it for the FBI headquarters. And Kiefer Sutherland leaves. Chet stays and goes back to the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
He finds out that a grandmother and her grandson were staying there, but they had left. And he finds a ring with the Twin Peaks owl symbol, if you're familiar with it. It's like the 2 arcs with the diamond in the middle. The movie is a prequel that will spoil everything, Eric. I don't know if you caught that warning. I'm about to ruin everything, Eric.
Yeah, another spoiler warning. This movie ruins the whole thing. So definitely, if you're interested in watching, I hate to tell you to leave the show, but if you're interested in watching the show in order and not having the mystery ruined for you, because it is all about the mystery, this would be the time to escape.
Luckily, talking about Chet never shows up in the Twin Peaks series because Chet disappears and we never talk about him ever again. Well, we do. We wonder where he is. But other than that, we go to Cooper, who's like in the middle of a dream. It's a very odd scene because like there's tangible evidence of it afterwards, but it does feel like a dream sequence. So he's standing there. He's playing around with the cameras and stuff. Something's not right. And David Bowie walks in.
Doing a southern accent, mind you.
His name is Philip. And he comes in and he just starts talking about the Black Lodge and like he left me and blah, blah, blah. And then he disappears. And then at that exact same moment, we find out Chet also disappeared. And Cooper's like, did that just happen? Like, And then they go and they look at the video footage, and clear enough, like Bowie did walk past Cooper and stuff like that, but he was apparently never there. So it's weird already with Cooper. And so we already know, like, if this is a prequel, Cooper's mind is open for before he even steps foot in Twin Peaks.
Yes, absolutely.
He talks about, while he's at Twin Peaks, he said, for 3 years I've been, trying to work out these methods to blah, blah, blah. And so we know it's been at least 2 years at this point, because Fire Walk Me takes place a year before. Blah, blah, blah. All right, so Dave Bosley. Oh, okay. So they're talking.
He goes missing or something, doesn't he?
Chad does, yeah. So Cooper goes back to the trailer park. The guy explains, he was here, blah, blah, blah. He finds the little spot where the ring was. The ring's not there anymore because Chet grabs the ring and then disappears. And then he's talking to Diane. He goes back to the river where he's found, and then it just goes back, says 1 year later. And we're in Twin Peaks. And right away, we are following Laura Palmer. This is her movie.
Because it's the last 7 days of her life, is what the movie takes place as.
And right away, we see, she's walking to school. Donna being played by a different actress.
Weirdly, yeah.
I don't know if that had to do with the couple scene later.
Yes, because this movie has lots of boobies. It was Dick's yesterday on American Odds.
It's my turn.
It's boobies night.
It's both of our turns, I guess. Jeez, you never lose.
I don't.
So we already know Laura's a mess. She's like going to school. She's doing coke. She thinks she's a turkey. She's like talking to James, and she's like, "Oh, I'm Laura Palmer. My life's horrible," which it is. But like we don't really know the context of that. Well, I guess we do. But like if you're watching this for the first time, you don't really like. And she's just like, he's like, "You're not a turkey," and she's like, "Gobble gobble," and like crying. And the actress is great. I'm not making fun of her. It's just like that one line. I'm just like, okay. But I mean, that's David Lynch. You're always going to say okay at one thing.
For lots of things.
Or lots of things. Bobby has no chill still. So he's never had chill. E and L.
But to be fair, this is only 1 week before he had no chill, so it's not like a large amount of time has passed.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
He just continued to have no chill.
We see Laura, goes home after all this. She checks her diary, and a page is missing. And like you could see that she like put it in a really weird, like behind her dresser, like a spot, and so like a page is missing. You're saying like that freaked me out too.
Yeah, like especially if like you're a teenage girl, you're trying to like develop like your privacy, and like you write all these extremely personal things down, which she sure was. Yeah, that would be horrifying. Like you open up your diary, and I thought it was like actually a couple pages were missing.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, which is even worse. Like ripped out, like visibly ripped out of the book and taken.
So she freaks out, and she brings her diary to Harold. So this is how Harold gets the diary, and we find out in season 2 that he has it, or blah, blah, blah.
Harold is again the agoraphobic guy who ends up hanging himself or killing himself.
Yes, that's him. And Harold is aware of Bob, or because Laura talks about him. Like she says that Bob either is going to be inside of her or she's going to die. Like that's
so
what's
that gives you
happen.
his motivation for what was going on
and why he was so protective of her, and like kind of freaked out about the whole thing as far as Harold goes.
Yeah.
She even goes as far as to say "Fire Walk with Me," dropping the name of the movie right away, which is fine. And then like she leaves, and like Harold is just because he's agoraphobic, like he can't do anything. He can't go out and get her, or like talk to her more. He's stuck there with the diary, which is almost like I would have gone crazy if like I had to read it, and then he was like, "Oh my God, there's even more worse stuff she didn't tell me." Like, hopefully he didn't read it. And then we go back to Albert and Cooper. Albert we recognize as being like Cooper's friend from off the jet, like a different like department, but he comes in and consults. And so right now they're profiling the next victim. And he's like, "Oh, she's gonna be blonde. She's gonna be popular." Like And he's like, you're literally naming everyone, like, or half of the high
Yeah.
school populace. And he's like, and then it goes right to Laura. So like Cooper like is pretty much square on with his prediction. So Laura is working at the diner for the Meals Wheels thing. She goes back, and she runs into the grandson and I don't know if this is David Lynch's son in this movie because his face is covered.
It is. That's
It is,
David
it's still
Lynch's
him.
son, yeah.
But now he's got like a mask on, which is weird.
And he looks just like a tiny David Lynch. If you have not
Cool.
seen it,
Cool
go ahead
hair.
and Google it. Like, it's super cute. He looks like baby David Lynch.
But they give her a photo to
Mhm.
hang on her wall,
And they're extra creepy about it.
they're super creepy, and she bails.
And it gets creepier with that photo. Spoiler alert.
She goes back and she goes into her room and she sees Bob with his arm behind the dresser looking for the diary. She runs out of the house, jumps into the bushes. Leland walks out and she's like, it's not him, like freaking out. But she's already putting those pieces together. So we like figure out that like just how like, and this is like day what, 1, 2? Day 1, right?
Early, yeah.
So like she's gonna go through a lot more. So we get to so Leland's waiting for her to come back home at dinner, and that gets weird. He like says there's dirt under her nails.
Yeah, he got a little creepy.
He did the cheek thing to her, and the mom, like
The mom is like, leave her alone. She doesn't like that.
how
Like,
do you know what she likes?
yeah.
Is this your lover? Like, and then like he gets really weird and personal with her because she has like a broken heart necklace that like you share with people. But later on, like 45 minutes later, he's in his room weeping about it. So like he's struggling. Anyone who's watched the show knows what's going on and can see that he is struggling with whatever's going on, even if he's not aware of what it is.
Which I think just makes it harder for him, honestly.
Yeah. So through the painting, she enters the Black Lodge, like through like a dream.
And it looks just like the picture, but the color of the room, I believe in the picture, it was like blue, and then it's red when she goes in, or the other way around.
Yeah, it changes. And
we were like creeped out when we watched that.
And she's in there, and then like it's now this is weird because like time and space are kind of like Annie from season 2 is there shot next to her, and she's like, the good Cooper is stuck in the lodge, the bad one is free. Like she's telling you the situation right there of what's going on,
Which is great because it's kind of like hinting at where they're gonna go with this reboot, because they are like, they left us off at such a cliffhanger. Like, okay, Cooper is possessed by Bob. That's all we know, So this is like setting up, I think.
So she wakes up from another dream, and then she woke up from the first dream next to Annie, then wakes up again because Inception, and she's wearing the dress from the original dream when she wakes up.
And then she's like, I'm getting rid of this picture, which we were like, yes, please get rid of that picture of the same room that she was in. Sorry to interrupt, but much like how Cooper saw the Black Lodge in his dreams, and then when he's there, like she had that same experience, but with like photographic evidence on the wall. Creepy.
Yeah, for sure. And we also see Shelley and Leo again. Leo still has zero chill. And we see that him and Bobby are in cahoots. They're doing the drug thing with the footballs and everything like that. That was going on way before this was going on. And he leaves. Let's see. Jacques going to introduce him to Bobby to a third man because Leo's out, but Bobby needs to score. No. But that is Jacques. Jacques we do meet at a bar. Not What I Jack. It's another bar in Canada.
But they do reference What I Jack in the scene.
They do. They talk because they're like, oh, we have an act. Well, I'm right there. So she goes. He's bartending at the gun bar right now, and Jacques sends 2 men over to Laura. They hand her money. She's like, "You guys are here to fuck the homecoming queen," and so like we realize, oh, this is a thing. Like she's kind of a gimmick. Like okay, like I'm the problem. Like they probably have one like of each set. I'm the golf girl. And like Donna follows her, and things get weird. Donna tries to keep up with her. They end up at another place, which is like just Boob City. Fine.
Laura's boobs, Donna's boobs. All
Yeah,
kind of
we get to
boobs.
see Laura's boobs. We get to see fake Donna's boobs.
Cinder's boobs.
We
all
don't
kinds of
see the other girl's boobs, Rochelle or whatever her name is.
Yeah, there's lots of boobs though.
But there's lots of boobs. There's plenty. I'm not complaining. But eventually, like all this like decadence is going on with drugs and like sex and stuff like that. And Laura looks over, and Donna is like almost about to go to the Donna got drugged. So she's about to like do it on a table with some dude, and Laura freaks out. He's definitely taking advantage, but like none the wiser. She's she thinks she's into it. She's obviously being manipulated.
And Laura comes tearing across the room, literally screaming.
But she's not screaming about that. She's like, because Laura dropped like a piece of sweater or something like that. And keep in mind, when we meet Donna in season 1, she doesn't talk about any of this. And that's because she's drugged and she wakes up and doesn't remember any of it. But she goes and she finds Laura's sweater and puts it on. And Laura doesn't freak out about her being molested. She freaks out about her wearing her clothes, which is really interesting. And so in the next morning, they're talking about it. And she's like, "Were you mad at me because I like wore something of yours?" And she's like, "I just really like my stuff to stay my stuff," almost like implying like, "I don't want you to fall into this innocence." Because right before the scene, we meet the log lady. I'm sure she's run into log lady before, but she almost has this moment of relief with her where she's like, be careful. Like your fire is going to burn hot and kill you, pretty much, is the speech. And she does not listen. So back in Canada, oh wait, we just talked about that. Oh, they talk about Teresa Banks. They say that it's been 1 year since she's died. It definitely gets brought up. Just check my notes here. Oh, so Leland and at another point, Leland and Laura are driving together, and like it's already weird, and Laura's upset, and Gerard from the series shows up as pretty much as Mike with the ring, with a little symbol on it, and he's like yelling at both of them like at the car, and they're both super rattled because they don't know what's going on. Leland more rattled because I think Bob's rattled because it's Mike. And they get away with it, and they're trying to talk about what's going on, but none of them get far enough to like for either one of them to like get ground on it. So we go and we see Leland thinking about Teresa, and we find out that he was banging Teresa. And he even asked her to bring a few friends along. He shows up. The two friends are Laura and her other friend, and he's like, "Oh, well, this is my daughter. I got bail." He leaves. He gives Teresa the money anyway, like, "Oh, I chickened out." And then later on, Teresa gets killed. Of course, we know he confessed to the murder later. So Laura goes out with Bobby again, and they're going to meet the third man to score these drugs. And they get a big thing of drugs, and Bobby just shoots the guy in the head and finds out it's baby powder, and he's freaking out, and Laura's just laughing. And Bobby's like, "Shut the fuck up!" And
you were like, "Bobby killed again."
Bobby killed again. Yeah, I didn't see that coming. And we also see Laura like find out that it like because like at one point Bob comes through the window and starts like
being creepy,
raping her, and she's like, "Who are you?" Like she's like questioning him during the act because that's the only time she actually like sees him manifested. And all of a sudden you see it cut to Leland's face, and it breaks her. And to the point where she already agreed with Jock that she would meet with them later on, like Thursday. and her, Jacques, Leo, and the girl Renette. I always mess up her name.
It's Renette.
They get together in a train car, and these are the events unfolding that we saw in season 1 with the poker trip and all that. A lot of gratuitous, non-consensual sex goes on. Leland shows up, beats the crap out of Lilo and Jacques, and then rapes both of them. Then, so Laura's going through like this weird, like, I would almost say her final form. She's almost about to embrace and take the ring, and Bob / Leland both are like, no, don't, like, we'll stop you and
Like
kill her.
Like she's gonna end up being possessed.
Like another
is where
demon,
it's
yeah.
going.
And we see, because we didn't talk about this, but when Wyndham had Leo as a pet, like at one point he got really pissed, and his face got chalky, and teeth went coal black. We also see Laura's face turn this way for a quick second too during this transformation, and when she's talking to Harold earlier, she does it quickly too. So Renette sees an angel in the room while all this is going on, and her bonds just magically like fall apart, and she gets away, and that's when she gets into the fugue state and blah blah blah. Whereas Laura dies, and we see her in the Black Lodge, and who's waiting there with her but young Agent Cooper. And Agent Cooper is there with his hand on her shoulder and fade away, and the angel shows back up again, like to say like, oh, you're paying, like, he's not saying anything, but it's just there almost to be like, this is the end of your suffering, blah blah blah. And then it cuts back to Agent Cooper in the hotel room after season 2, and
in like the Where's Annie scene.
so
like
they rush in, and they're like, Coop, what's wrong? And he's like, I fell and I struck the window, and it struck me as funny. I fell and I struck the window, and it struck me as funny. So there's obviously still something up with Cooper. It's not like he just had an accident. Like, he's.
Do you think that like implies that he like saw all that stuff? Bob?
Oh,
like when he smashed his head into the glass, like he saw.
Well, that's also how Leland
died.
died. He smashed his head into the door. Remember?
Yeah, but do you think like he saw a vision of that? Like, and that's why that's the end of that, maybe?
Snap. Why was David Bowie in?
In his southern accent. I love you, David Bowie, and I miss you, and you're wonderful, and it was so good to see you.
We can never have enough David Bowie. I just want to know.
Because Bowie, that's why.
Okay, that's a reason. But yeah, that is
Fire Walk with Me.
And I'm sure we missed a lot. And if there's something that we missed that you particularly like, well, what about the fish in the coffee pot or some other random thing?
In the percolator.
Leave it in the comments or tweet at us on Twitter. You can tweet at me at OddShapePanel.
I'm at Kimberbatch OSP. But before we go, did you have any thoughts on the upcoming show? It starts in 4 days.
I mean, I think I got a little overhyped on American Gods because it's like based on my favorite book, and this is one of my favorite shows. So I'm kind of holding back, but I am super excited, and
I've looked at the lists of like the people who are going to be on and
I have
stuff,
no
and
idea.
it's out of control. I'm so excited. I'm trying to tell him any of it, but I think it's going to be amazing, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I have full faith in Lynch. I'm glad that he is back on the project because it almost didn't happen, and it's just kind of amazing to me that this is happening in general. With the 27 years, like I'm assuming they're going to start it at the 25-year mark because that's what makes sense the most with the story. But I can't wait to see where he planned on going with it because honestly, like he didn't want to stop doing the show in the first place. He had more plans and he rallied to try to keep it going. So I'm just glad to see him fulfill his promise of seeing it 25 years later, and it starts in 4 days. We've been looking forward to this for what seems like years since they announced it. And,
I didn't believe it when they first put it out.
I'm amazed that it's happening, and I am joyful, and I can't wait.
Longest cliffhanger ever.
Longest cliffhanger ever. It's gonna be amazing.
So yeah, thank you so much for joining us on Twin Peeps. Next week, 8 o'clock, Wednesday, we'll be talking about the first episode, part 1. And the description is, my log has something to tell you. So that's it, in quotes, my log has something to tell you. So we'll see you then.
Be sure to log in to your YouTube account.
Monday, 9 o'clock, Eastern Central. No, what?
Eastern Standard Time.
Thank you. Doing an Odd-Shaped panel. We'll be discussing mythology and religion in pop culture. We'll be putting out the questions soon. So look out for that and join us. If you're not familiar with Odd-Shaped panel, that is everybody gets to call in if we have time and talk about all 4 questions. So,
and if you like American Gods, please join us at the next American Odds. I will be filling in for Cal. He won't be able to make it next week, and that is Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock right here on this very channel.
I realize we may have been overloading you with all this information at once. If you go to www.oddshapedchannel.com, all of our upcoming live episodes are up there, as well as our episode archive. So if you're like, oh, well, what about the first episode of American Odds? It's up there.
And that's Odd Shaped Channel,
yes,
not panel.
I don't think you talk in that voice. That was just me doing that. But thank you so much for joining us, and especially to Mormo and Cal, who I think are still in the chat. I know everyone kind of jumped ship when they're like, spoiler. But we warned you. So that's it, right?
Yeah, I felt bad if they wanted to call in, but Tom does have to work soon. So thank you, Cal. If you guys want to get a hold of us, if you have more questions, comments, you know where to find us. And we love Twin Peaks, so never feel like you're burdening us with anything. We will love to talk even more about it. And thank you, Cal. And we will see you guys soon to talk about more amazing shows and movies and everything pop culture that we love. So, yeah.
Stay damn fine.
Just imagine the old man giving the thumbs up. I will, Cal.